Good evening, dear respected owners of ear oracles. Today we will talk about your hearing, your ear canals, cochleas, eardrums, noise, and also hearing loss. How can we improve the functioning of your hearing apparatus, reduce extraneous noise, WOXO, and enhance your hearing perception? Today, we will learn all these principles, postulates, and mechanisms of action and how they interact with your ear. So, my friends, you, not all of you, but some of you, and some of you may have never even thought about the fact that your ear is not just what you see on the outside.
Hi guys. The doctor recommended me a great blood pressure monitor. Easy to use at home, accurate, and reliable.
Your main hearing apparatus is actually located inside your temporal bone. Right here. What appeared on your screens, not many understood, many got confused and are sitting there puzzled. Now I'll explain this to you, friends. This is your oracle. The thing is, in otorhinolaryngology, which is the science that studies not only the hearing system, but also includes oto, which is ear, rhino, which is nose. So otorhinolaryngology is larynx. G means science. So it's the science about all these structures. Throat, nose are also known by this name. So, friends, the thing is, there is a connection between all these structures. On the outside, our hearing system is represented by the oracle of the ear. And now, I lost my train of thought. You're not stopping me. What did the scientists who study otorhinolaryngology want to say? They are poets at heart, you see. For them, it's not just, for example, finger 1, 2, 3 index finger or leg, arm. They have poetic names for everything. For us, the oracle is not just some cartilage, but the ear oracle, right here. And here is the cochlea. And here we have the semicircular canals, and these like this. Each little bone has its own name. Anvil, stirrup, hammer, eardrum. Wait, is it correctly called the drum membrane or the eardrum? How is it written? Membrane or? Is it drum membrane or drum membrane? Comment below. Let's stay focused. Friends, the ear canal belongs to the outer ear. So, friends, there are several structures: the auricle, the ear canal, the outer part. The outer ear consists of a cartilaginous and a bony part. The middle ear contains the bones, the smallest bones in your body, the anvil, the stirrup, and the hammer. The vibration from the eardrum, which separates the outer and middle ear, transmitted to them. They do their job, one bone strikes the other, the impulse is transmitted, and the mechanical wave, the sound wave that entered your ear, is passed along. The eardrum vibrated, the bones oscillated, and under the influence of this vibration, it is transmitted to the fluid. There is a special fluid inside the cochlea, which also starts to vibrate and begins to move tiny hairs, the cilia, right here in your ear. Can you imagine? Inside are tiny hairs, not the ones on your ear, but even smaller ones found in the cochlea. It vibrates, and these vibrations in the end transmit information to the auditory nerve, right here. The one that's located here, and that's why the electrical impulse travels along the auditory nerve all the way to the cortex, to the temporal lobe of the brain, right here. That's how you perceive everything I'm saying. All these sounds that I'm making, you perceive them as highly intellectual information. It enters your brain, you process it, and based on that, You draw certain conclusions. Your intellect allows you to do this. Right here, you see we also have another structure, the middle ear. It also connects to your nasopharynx through a small tube called the eustachian tube or auditory tube. It provides equalization, sort of simultaneous pressure in this middle ear here. The pressure is equalized right here. When it gets inflamed, fluid can accumulate here, leading to otitis media. So it's an important structure as well. With various infections of the nasopharynx, the infection can also spread to the middle ear. It's also used by swimmers. Or you can use it during airplane flights. In this way, you close your nose, inhale, and the air from inside presses against your eardrum. It makes a popping sound like this. If your eardrum isn't ruptured, it will shift over here. If you have a hole in your eardrum, you'll hear a hissing sound, like that kind of sound. The air will come out from here. That means it's time to go get treatment and see an ear, nose, and throat doctor. So, friends, now we are no longer just vaguely familiar with anatomy. We know it thoroughly. And now, what should we do? How can we influence all of this? Can we influence the auditory nerve? Well, directly, no. Indirectly, maybe somehow, by improving blood supply, working with the neck, with the suboccipital muscles, we can do a little bit, but overall, no. The organ of balance here are the semicircular canals. It depends on them whether we lose our balance or not. There are certain diseases associated with impaired function of this organ, which most often manifest as dizziness. And that's something we can influence quite effectively. We can influence the mobility of this part. Here is the external auditory canal. It's cartilaginous part. It's quite mobile. But very often it loses this mobility, and as a result, its mobility changes as well. The inflow and outflow of blood to the area of the middle and possibly also the inner ear. And by affecting this part, we can maintain active mobility and elasticity of all these structures. In this way, we can help improve the function of the entire ear. So, friends, let's not put this off any longer and let's get started. To work on our ear canals, we'll need clean hands. Take a look. If you have any doubts, wash them under running water with soap using, for example, the water supply system. If you find that your hands are clean enough, proceed with the manipulations. If your fingernails are quite long, trim them. So, to perform the manipulations, we'll use the index finger of either hand, since we'll be working on both ears. In this case, I'm using my left hand, as you may have noticed, and the index finger of my left hand as well. I'm now holding it straight in my palm. So friends, I take my external auditory canal. As you can see, here is the index finger. I place it inside it. Because of anatomical features, it can't go into a dangerous depth, one that could damage my eardrum. That's why I confidently insert this finger almost up to the barrier. It won't go in deeply, only about this far. Using my index finger, I insert it into my external auditory canal and start rotating it clockwise. At the same time, this movement meets some resistance The tissue stretch a bit and the ear canal also gives way a little. So I start to twist it slightly. So I'm not just rotating my finger like this inside the ear canal. I'm trying to twist it a little, you see, catching these tissues. And I try not to just spin the ear canal or my finger inside, right? But to move it like this, kind of twist it a little. And there's a slight movement of the ear canal itself. Of course, it's not the same as when you move your hand directly, but there is a small amplitude of movement. I do it as much as my flexibility allows, first in one direction and then immediately in the other direction. I turned in one direction, reached the limit, held that position for a couple of seconds and then turned in the other direction. I did this 5 times. This way you can do it in one direction and then in the other, back and forth. So I put my finger in, turned it, held it, relaxed for a couple of seconds at this extreme point, then turned it again, held it and relaxed. If you're doing it for the first time, it's better to start by making 5 to 10 movements clockwise, then 5 to 10 movements counterclockwise. So I turn it, hold for a second or two at this extreme position, relax, then turn it again. Hold for a second or two at the extreme point so that the tissues of the outer ear canal, the whole cartilaginous part, get used to it. It started moving a little along this axis, started twisting. What does this do? This allows for improved blood flow, first to the external auditory canal itself and automatically to the rest of the ear as well. So the first part is over. Now the second part, if you're still watching, here's a little trick I'll share with you since you're still here. Some people have fingers of different sizes and diameters. Not everyone is the same. It turns out that, for example, if your index finger doesn't fit into your ear for some reason, you can just as easily. Using your pinky finger is not as convenient, but for some people it will be more effective. Try doing the same thing with your pinky finger. Stick it in your ear and gently twist it both ways. So the first part has come to an end. The second part is coming up next. Move your ear in different directions. So friends, let's continue. Take your index finger and insert it into your ear canal. And now, look what we can do. We can affect the outer part of the ear canal and move it a little bit up and down, forward and backward. And now we'll make a downward movement. That is, we kind of insert our fingers and pull it a little bit down here toward the feet. So if you're standing, you pull it down to the lower part right here. And the other hand, we place it above the ear on the area of the temporal muscle. Here it is, and it's going to make a movement in the opposite direction, like this, while the hand that's at the ear will move downwards like this. They make these two opposite movements. And we start pulling our ear canal down while pulling the skin and the muscle area up like this. So it's like two movements. We start stretching these areas in different directions, down and up. We do this both simultaneously and alternately. Pull the ear down, then pull the skin above the ear down, then the ear down again. If you feel any pain or discomfort, stop and don't do it as much. If you have any inflammation, be careful as well. You shouldn't do anything through pain. So, on the other side, do the same thing, pull down and up at the same time. First from the top, then from the bottom. So, everything that stopped moving, we're making it move again, restoring movement. Do about 10 of these movements. Pull, relax, pull, relax. Now for the next movement, we insert the finger from this side. See, so you can pull it this way. You can also pull it up from here. Whatever is comfortable for you, you can do it like this. If your arm is long enough to reach your ear, then here we start pulling the tissue downward. You can start from the area of the masseter muscle right here or directly under the ear. Here is the spot where the angle of the lower jaw is. You have the temporal process here, and this is the place, but you will need to pull down a little bit. So we pull the ear canal upward, and this point here between the top, the jaw and the temporal bone with the osseous process. There's a little hollow here, and you press on it a bit, pulling down while pulling the ear canal upward in two different directions. So look, here it is, this little hollow, and you make this movement. You do it in two ways. You pull the ear, you pull this spot under the ear 10 times, well, 5 to 10 times, not all at once. Then you pull the ear down here, pull it, the ear, pull it down here alternately, basically together and alternately. These are the two actions. The point is to improve the mobility of all these structures during the process. You might notice some people mention that they start to kind of blood flow to their ears improves. That, for example, those who used to hear some kind of noise sometimes stop hearing it at this stage. Now let's do the same thing on the other side. Pull your ear up and everything under the ear. Basically, you're just pulling the skin. To be continued. The fascia are being stretched at the same time. Yes, the soft tissues were improving their mobility. Move your hand a little forward and make a downward motion along the chewing muscle. And here you move in different directions. You see, the movement won't be exactly up and down, but rather a little forward and a little backward. That is at about a 45-degree angle. So one hand is in your ear and the other is on the area of the chewing muscle, and you pull in different directions. It's okay if your finger isn't very deep in your ear. The movement itself is already enough. Of the ear itself causes quite good mobility in the ear canal. So on the other side as well, we pulled our ear canal in one direction and the chewing muscle in the other direction. And we did 10 repetitions alternating ear muscle, and then both at the same time. And the third direction, as you might have guessed, is also at a 45-degree angle. Here forward and here 45 degrees back. So at this angle here and here, we place our hand on the mastoid process and will move slightly back here while pulling the ear canal forward. Here you can actually put several fingers directly on the ear canal as well. All these tissues, the skin, everything under the skin, we pull in different directions. We pull our auricle, ear canal, and the tissues under the ear in different directions. And there are still two more directions left to go this movement completely forward. Right here. And behind the ear we move backward. So we also grab our ear and move it forward. There is a structure here called the tragus of the ear. It's this little cartilage. And basically, you push it a little bit forward, pull it, and here from behind eeks. So you take your finger and just slide it a little bit back along the skin, trying to go in different directions in various ways to restore mobility. It's the same for this part. On the other hand, and the last thing left is moving the ear back. So here you also need to adapt which finger is more comfortable to use for this. And we move the tissue in front of the ear forward, right here. So you have one of your fingers, whichever is comfortable. In this case, you can even try your thumb in the ear canal, and the tissue is in front of the ear. So you move it right here forward and do the same thing alternately. And at the same time, you stretched one side and then the other side. When you perform all these manipulations, you may notice that in some directions the movement is freer, while in others it is stiffer. If there is any pain somewhere, reduce the pressure there. Don't press too hard. But generally, there usually isn't any pain. It's just that in some places it moves worse and in others it moves better. So, we've moved this part of our auditory system in different directions. Toluch. And many of you will notice that toluch. After this, the sound has become clearer. Now, let's move your ear canal. At a different angle, a little bit this way, like this forward, kind of outward, and then shift it a little inward. To do this, take your ear, the auricle, and start pulling it back towards your skull, trying to stretch it a little bit. And because of this, your ear canal will stretch like this. Make yourself comfortable. So, you stretched it twice, stretched, relaxed, stretched, relaxed, stretched, relaxed. Use the opposite hand, stretch, hold for 2 seconds, then relax. Stretched, held, relaxed. It's an interesting sensation too. Sometimes, as a result of this effect, many people feel that the tension, which is often inside the head or inside the ear, decreases. Why is doing all this important? Because very often, after various inflammatory diseases, adhesions and connective tissue are left behind, which then interfere with proper function. When we restore all of this, we make these adhesions more elastic by working on the adhesion process. The blood vessels and nerves that pass between them are freed, and the inflow and outflow of blood improves. And what does new, fresh blood bring? Erythrocytes, lymphocytes, neutrophils, monocytes, hormones. All of these improve the overall well-being of our body and rejuvenate it. And among other things, your hearing apparatus is restored. You begin to hear, understand, and appreciate. So, friends, well, give it a try. Don't hesitate to write in the comments how many decibels better you can hear now. You don't need to do this procedure every day. Do it once, and then you can repeat it in about 3 days. It gives a stable result in about 1 to 2 weeks. But even after the first procedure, after you do all of this, you can already feel a pretty good effect. You can repeat it once or twice a week. So, friends, let's do some sports. Come on, try it before the new year. Subscribe so that we reach 4 million subscribers. If we get 4 million by the new year, that's great. If not, then we won't. So let's do sports, help our parents. See you in the next episode.